arrested like that just this month. So, and this is happening all over the country. In Virginia alone, over 20,000 people are civilly committed each year in Virginia alone like this. So the thing was, I say it here, and it's important for people who really love their country and want freedom. What his mom did was great. She got out on Facebook and the internet and started screaming about this. We were alerted and we got involved. But without that, folks, I think there are a lot of people in America disappearing. But what I'm hearing from the veterans groups is there are a lot of veterans.
Oh, absolutely. Let me stop you, because we could open the phones up now and load them with veterans that have been grabbed for no reason. I mean, if they say, I hate Obama, he's a piece of garbage, or I hate this, they show up, the Secret Service have them fired, and then they're grabbed and taken away. Some of them never come back. Others, they take their guns. This is a new creeping authoritarian disappearance thing that is happening, and you just blew me away. This is amazing. You got called by a reporter. Please give us details, because we're going to write a story about this. And I know you've also been writing articles and press releases there on your site. We're going to give that out in a moment. But this is going to be big national news, I would imagine. Now the Drudge Report will probably want to look at this. I mean, this is a big deal. You're saying in one county.
In Virginia, the county where he was arrested and taken away, the reporter said, we were surprised. We checked into it. 20 people just this month have been taken away like that in Chesterfield County, Virginia. That's what the reporter told me. He said, this is pretty freaky stuff. And I said, that's right. And so, but other states across the country have these statutes. It allows the police to come to your home if you committed no crime to arrest you and put you in a mental institution. The thing is, though, like I said, his mom got out there and alerted people. Most people disappeared. I mean, once they put you on medications, you're there forever. And I suspect, and we're researching this now, that the mental institutions, especially groups like the VA, probably get some kind of funding for the people that are placed in there. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
Can you tell us the reporter that called you? I mean, was this off record? Because
no, it wasn't off record. He just said, it shocks me. He was interviewing me. He just stopped in the middle of the sentence. He said, you're right about the civil commitment procedure. It's a little strange. Well, and you said it, the old Soviet Union. In America, if the police are going to arrest you, you should have at least be suspected of committing a crime. All Brandon Raub did is quote lyrics from a group called Swollen Members. By the way, I didn't think they were very great lyrics, but that's all he did. He was exercising his free speech in a private grouping on Facebook. Somehow the government got in there and conducted surveillance, got the quotes, and used those against him. He didn't target anybody, and he doesn't even own a weapon. So this guy's not dangerous, but anybody in authority, when we moved into a police state and a surveillance state, anybody that speaks out can be targeted. And I'm so visible. The more visible you are, like you, Alex, the less chance of someone like you being taken away. But if you're Brandon Raub, a 26-year-old kid in Chesterfield County, Virginia, yeah, you can disappear.
Well, let's be clear. Historically, the answer is for everybody to speak out now, because if they're able to buffalo us and get this through, they're going to continue it. Undoubtedly, there's now a national program nationwide sweeping veterans up, in many cases, for literally nothing. I mean, they're bold enough now to go after talk show hosts that have pretty good followings. So if they can go after these smaller fish, they can go after us tomorrow. We've got to hang together or hang separate. As our forebears said, we're now to that point with the 20th century, 21st century favorite model of using the psychiatric system to go after people. And then you were telling me on air, but also some off air, some of the things the psychiatrists were saying to him, obviously trying to antagonize him. Can you go over what they were saying to Mr. Raub?
Well, Brandon called me yesterday. This is before we got the court order. And he called me, and he wasn't in a panic, but he said, I'm really a little freaked. And I said, why? What's going on? And he said, well, a psychiatrist just came in. He gave me the name of the psychiatrist. We're checking him out. But he said the psychiatrist pulled up a chair and closed the door and sat in front of him and said, I'm going to brainwash you. And he went, what? He said, and if you don't listen to me, I'm going to force medication. So Brandon had the ability to call out with a social worker sitting beside me. He said, what should I do? Well, in Virginia, you have to have a court order to force medication. I said, tell the man that he's violating the law. So thank God, about an hour later, we got the court order and got him out of there. But that actually occurred. I mean, Brandon Rob is as lucid as anybody I've ever known. He's a bright kid. And again, as you know, he's a decorated Marine. This is chilling stuff. It's crazy.
Amazing. Now continuing to go over all of this information with the founder of the Rutherford Institute, John Whitehead, with us right now. I want to go back to the reporter. Please tell us his name because we'd like to call him and get him on as a guest.
I can email that to you. I really don't. I don't have his name. I mean, I don't remember his name.
No, I know you've been on a whole bunch. How many shows you been on the last 24 hours?
The last week, I've been on so many shows that I sleep well at night. Let's put it that way. But what we moved into is a psychotherapeutic state. That's exactly where we're headed. It's very similar to the old Soviet Union, but then they use Gestapo tactics like they did in Nazi Germany. They just show up at your door right now. And what people have to understand is you got to know your rights. But here's the other thing I'm encouraging people to do. Call your congressman. There should be an investigation into this. There should be a committee hearings on what's happening in this country. We need access to FBI records, how they're categorizing people. You're familiar with national security letters, right?
Yes.
They're issuing so many of those, I won't want to cuss it, darn things, that they're everywhere. What they do is they just show up with a letter saying, we need this, we want this information. Well, the cell phone companies, Google, they're handing over all this information to the police. In fact, they're actually making money off of it. Some cell phone companies have sections where they sell to police photos and information on you.
Let's be clear. Without warrants now, they have these national security stamps they claim were just for al-Qaeda. Just 6 years ago, Bush was lying and saying, I promise we don't spy on any Americans. Then it came out, of course, they were. Now it's just, yeah, we're doing everything we want. And now, because you quoted some lyrics, we're going to disappear you. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no warrants. This is the FBI, and the FBI shows up. And as we know, I've written about the FBI. They're new. They have a new manual which allows them basically to go. They're going into peace activists' homes and they're rummaging around in their attics trying to find anything to use against them. And here's the question I get all the time. Well, John, if I've done nothing wrong, why should I be concerned? Well, you should be concerned if you believe in the Constitution because it's against the law. The second thing is, you need to teach your children now. If your children do something silly on Facebook and they want to be a federal judge someday, that's all going in a file. The National Security Agency keeps all that. 1.6 million bits of information are downloaded by the National Security Agency every day from the internet.
And let's be clear, you're talking about sneak and peek, where even if you catch them in your house planting stuff, government breaking in your house, you're not allowed to even tell anybody they were there. I mean, that is Kafka-esque.
Oh, yeah. And there's a gag order on the national security letters. You cannot, they're told they cannot reveal that the FBI has been there looking through your records. So we moved into an Orwellian state. You use the word Orwellian, it's beyond that. It's Minority Report. It's everything Philip K. Dick and the great sci-fi writers wrote about. It's fact has become fiction. We're there. So what can we do? I mean, people better try. I stopped watching television 2 years ago. There's no news on TV. You can get news from your shows and what I call the underground press and the underground talk shows. That's where you can get the news. You go on websites and read, get informed. Don't worry what Brad Pitt did last week. Worry about what the FBI did last week or your local police. Because the local police now are hooked into all the national intelligence agencies. And when they get their drones in a couple of years, they're going to be flying over your home, folks.
Well, I've already seen a drone here in Austin and ran into the operator. Joseph Farah of WorldNet Daily out in his rural area in Virginia got buzzed by a police drone over his house. This is happening everywhere, but
you're correct.
This is so draconian that quietly they're changing state laws or quietly they're twisting existing laws. And in one county, you have a reporter locally call you and go, yeah, the last month, 20 people, mainly veterans, were grabbed just like this. And they are literally in there processing them in, removing their rights extrajudicially, and kicking them back out if they're lucky. And we know what the psychiatric system does with foster children. On average, they're on 7 drugs. They put 69% of them nationally within 2 months on a psychotropic drug. They are just turning them into special needs children so the state can suck more federal money. I mean, this is basically a concentration camp type operation running right under our noses.
Yeah, the word I use for it, and I've written on it, it's called the electronic concentration camp. We are there. And used to, you could live in caves and get away, but caves are rather sparse these days. You can't flee from it, but you can resist it, and that's the key. Congress needs to have a national investigation here. We need to embarrass those guys who say they represent us in the United States Congress, which most of them don't, in my opinion, and force them to look into this matter. I mean, we're supposed to be under the rule of law, but we're not under the rule of law. The law is the Constitution. The Constitution says in our Fourth Amendment, before the police conduct surveillance on you, they have to have credible evidence you're doing something illegal. Well, they arrive and arrest Brandon Raub because he did some Facebook posts. So we moved into a new phase. We're not under the rule of law, but the only hope is, in my opinion, if we're going to have any system in our rights, is to force Congress to do an investigation. And that's going to take it's going to take some picketing. It's veteran groups, by the way, have called me. They're going to do some national picketing on this issue. That's a good thing to do. Martin Luther King is a great example. He forced someone to write a law to protect black people. We need to force them to write a law to protect average Americans now.
That's right. And expanding on this, we're going to come back in a final segment. I want to find out how Mr. Raub is doing. I've also discovered he was a daily listener before this happened. They're persecuting so many of our listeners. The answer is don't let them intimidate you. Everyone needs to step forward to say, I'm Brandon Raub. I'm Spartacus. If you don't know about that, famous film based on true story, composite of it, the slave revolt in southern Rome of gladiators, they're looking for Spartacus to kill him, and he's really already dead. But the point is, everybody starts stepping forward saying, I'm Spartacus. No, I'm Spartacus. We're all Brandon Raub. Okay, we're talking to John Whitehead, the founder of the Rutherford Institute, and I want to get him on for a full hour once this big media blitz has subsided, to go into just the overall attacks across the board on our freedoms, because I'm always amazed reading his writings and having him on as a guest yesterday, just how informed he is, because I'm immersed in this stuff, and he's right there, with me or even beyond in researching this. It's so giant. I mean, here's an example. 10 years ago, it was in USA Today, that when you call and order a pizza with major chains, they run you through a background to see if there's warrants and get paid upwards of 25% for your arrest, conviction, all the rest of it. I mean, that's why a lady goes into Victoria's Secret and they swipe her credit card and it runs through that she's got a warrant for driving infractions, and they arrest her and taser her daughter at the mall. No one's telling you that you're in a total surveillance state. It's incredible. And John W. Whitehead is helping expose it, Rutherford.org, Rutherford.org. In fact, I want to tell my crew, I want to start taking their press releases and posting them at Infowars.com, because I was reading some of these last night. Every one of these is just a really good, deep, informative, but easy to read article. So we're very excited about him fighting for our liberty, and our listeners helping burrow out exactly what's happening, exactly what's going on, because this is a big secret war against veterans now coming out in the open. I have a national media actually listening right now, a publication. Can you recap, again, just basically what the local reporter told you? Because I have a national newspaper listening right now.
Yeah, a local reporter in Chesterfield County told me that just this month, 20 people have been picked up, similar to Brandon Raub. They were not all veterans, just picked up and taken away like he was.
But you were saying some of them were veterans, though. I mean, specifically, you said it was a... I
don't know. It was a short interview. He just alerted me to that fact, but...
Oh, but separately, you're getting the calls from all over that it's happening to veterans. Because I know you said something.
Yeah. The veteran